Border Patrol said, "Get your Chibsons out of our country." Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. Due to popular demand, we've got a couple of topics we need to talk about tonight. Starting off, in California, the U.S. Customs and Border Protection seized a whole bunch of Chibsons. They're claiming it's the biggest seizure that has ever happened. So you can go through and watch the interview if you want. They had it live streamed on News 11 Yuma. However, it basically just boils down to a press release saying, hey, we saved unknowing consumers. Here's the thing though, most people that order the Chibsons from China, they know they're fake, and not everybody is trying to scam people with them. Some people just want it as a cheaper alternative to the Gibson. But I can totally see how that's bad for business, because sadly, eventually somebody does get scammed later on down the road, even if it's not until your estate sale. This happened a few years ago too. I believe it was up in Alaska, where they got 85 counterfeit guitars and laid them all out like this, and it was really cool to see them all in one place. But the figure we're working with this time is 18 million if these were real Gibson guitars. So 18 million divided by, I would say the average cost of a Gibson custom shop, 6,000. So that's roughly 3,000 guitars. So I'm assuming all these boxes behind them are just filled with these things. Here's what I'm deathly curious about. Is this one guy's order? Because everything looks different. Now, maybe they just cherry-picked one of each example. Like they got 200 of this, 200 of that, 200 of that. Because sometimes unscrupulous pawn shops do buy these and just list them in their store, hoping an unsuspecting buyer will come around and buy it for like $800 or $1,200. Because the average cost of one of these guitars is like $300 to $500 if you can find them online. So at 3,000 guitars, we'll just call it a nice $350. I'm sure you'd get a bulk price buying that many, but that's only about $1 million. And I've seen some of those say they can make them for like $190 if you're buying enough of them, which would cut your costs down significantly. But anyways, what I'm getting at here is, wouldn't it be hilarious if this was just one guy's dumb order? Like, let's buy every single Chibson, start up a store with them. A get-rich-quick scheme. But realistically, a lot of these were probably Christmas presents. And the dealer who made all these happened to ship them at the same time, which raised a lot of red flags. Or perhaps this is an accumulation of them over time and they wanted to make a big expose about this. Because a few different people spoke during this live stream, some officers, some part of the Homeland Security, but the two I want to focus on are the ladies in the back. She's on Gibson's legal team, and then this is the CMO, Chief Marketing Officer. So I thought that was kind of cool that both of them were there for this like big ceremonious, we're cracking down on these fakes coming into the country, which ultimately I do agree is a good thing. Because here's the thing about Chibsons, some guys just buy them to live the dream. I would have less of a problem with them if they just didn't put the Gibson logo on them. I mean, sure, they're still ripping off the body designs, but at least it's a little bit better because nobody ever gets scammed in the future. But whenever stories like these break, I like to play, what models are they counterfeiting? Almost everything on here is an out-of-production limited edition. So like this thing right here is a very poor take on a trans-white Les Paul Supreme. Gibson doesn't currently make the original bodied Supremes. Over here we've got like a Billy Joe Armstrong Les Paul Jr., although they have a very interesting crown headstock on that one. It looks like some sort of an R9, R6. Those are still in production. But now this one is an interesting take on a Red Widow, where it features a primary black finish with the red put over top, and then they get the matching inlays with triple EMGs. At the time of recording, Gibson has not actually made a release exactly like that I'm aware of with the colored inlays, on the fretboard anyway. It looks like a P90 red gold top. Over here, it's a Zakk Wylde model. Nope, they're not making those, except for that's the silver version. I'm sure Gibson has made one, but not for the public. Looks like we got maybe a Slash AFD over here. This one's interesting. It's a dark wine burst early 90s Les Paul custom that somebody ordered a Chibson of. But if you go up to the headstock, I'm pretty sure that one snapped. It should not rest against the wall like that. Pretty convincing 1979 Adam Jones custom. Looks like maybe one of the old HP Blueburst finish Les Pauls over there. Of course, we got a 3-pickup Black Beauty. Everybody wants one of those. Looks like an R8. Apparently there were some Gretches there, as well as a PRS and just a regular old SG Special. But there were a couple of these Corvette ones too. I think those are early 2000s limited editions. There was also a Jimmy Page style double neck, but done up in a trans blue finish. So that was certainly a big bust. Makes me wonder what they're going to do with them. I mean, I know they're counterfeit and they should be destroyed, and they probably will be, but with a little bit of setup work, sometimes they can still be nice players. Maybe it could be donated to Guitars for Vets and they just like slice off the Gibson logo or like slice off the horn or something. But the other thing they're talking about is they don't know what materials were used in here. It could harm your health. I'm always scared about stuff like that because you'll never know. But even if they can't stop all of them coming in, they at least took a giant financial blow if these all came from the same place. And now, you guys have asked me to talk about this, so we're gonna do it. But let's stay civil, keep politics out of stuff. That's not what this show is about. Trump Guitars launched with a guitar officially endorsed by the President of the United States. And he did the whole base model and then signed for a whole lot of money, as well as regular production runs that will come in the future for not only the electric guitars, but also the acoustics. So honestly, on paper, that seems like a good idea. However, as the President of the United States that says, "Go America," something feels a little bit disingenuous about ripping off a great American company, Gibson, with a single-cut Les Paul. It's like when we're talking about the USA map guitar and how it feels dirty to buy one of the Epiphone versions that was not made in the United States. If this would have been a Gibson PRS Fender USA release, I think this would have been received a lot differently. And I get it, it's just like the Chibsons. It maybe cost them $150 on each of these guitars and they could sell them for 10 times to 100 times. But I think they still could have scaled it using USA manufacturing. At least for the base super patriotic model, and then you can have the regular import ones, give people the option. But you're going to notice that they are listed as sold out. However, I don't think they actually sold. They got a cease and desist from Gibson, which was not surprising to say the least. They're definitely backtracking not to get sued, and they basically just took them off the website. They put this sold out on it. That way you can't see that they were using the Les Paul shape, and then they just took them down. And they put this notice of non-affiliation disclaimer up saying it's not a Gibson. So I'll be curious if any of those actually end up shipping out. But another thing I didn't like about this website is they changed the prices nearly daily since launch. So this signed one initially started, I believe it was $10,000. Then it quickly went to $10,750, then $11,250, and eventually ended at $11,500. Now, to be fair, they used to have a thing over here that said prices may change. So they did warn you about it, but that just felt kind of dirty. So here's my thoughts on this. I think this is a good idea, but executed poorly. I would love to see the United States government come out with a patriotic series where we help pay down the national debt by selling overpriced collectibles that become, future investment grade type things. Like I'm talking make a limited edition Ferrari, Porsche, Gibson Les Paul, high-end PRS Dragon type thing, but have it be an Eagle, only sell them for ludicrous amounts of money. We're talking 10 to 100 times X what the thing would normally cost, and do it with all the great American manufacturers as well as overseas ones. But just make sure you're getting the top dog of everything. I mean, we could even go down to like a really fancy pen. We can also do Rolex watches. We could have like really fancy Sharpies. We're basically taking the Supreme model and associating it with other things. I mean, if they can sell bricks for $1,000, certainly we could find some ways to leverage that through small limited edition releases that become more valuable over time. I think people would buy this stuff up, even outside of the United States, if we knew exactly where the money was going. And throughout the course of a decade, we could help make a small dent in something like that. Because as of right now, I don't really know where any of the money of this is going to. They simply have an endorsement by the president, but it appears to just be a regular company otherwise. And they kind of dance around the fact that these are clearly import guitars, saying they were custom designed and developed by a veteran-owned company with the help of a master luthier. That means they made like a CAD file, sent it to China, said mass produce these. And while there is some truth to this, like for example, in the 70s, Gibson had all their hardware made in Germany by Schaller. I feel they could have did the American people better. So if you bought one of these, please let me know if it ever shows up. But it's almost like they planned for this, like they wanted the controversy, because so far they're not being sued. It was just a cease and desist. And that's why these other ones that are just, again, project files, not actually a real guitar as of right now, they're only going to make them if people buy them. The body is significantly different. It's more like PRS in style and has a different branding on their fretboard. I've got to hand it to him on this one. It's a generic acoustic guitar. Looks a little bit strange down here, how it's not completely circular at the bottom. But, out of all these weird, corny promo guitars, I think this is the best looking one. And according to this CGI, the neck just disappears right here. It will have true mother of pearl inlay. Whereas these ones over here, despite being called pearl, was definitely looking pearloid. But speaking of celebrities with new limited edition guitars, Taylor Swift, on I believe it was the exact same day as the Trump guitars, announced a new lineup with Epiphone. But they sold out instantaneously. But as you can see here, it's got Taylor on it. Whether that's your style or not, I'll leave that up to you, but these were official Epiphones, so they're going through an existing company, and they were only $400, and I could see how that would make somebody very happy to unwrap that for Christmas. But the base core model is a $169 Songmaker DR100, so not a high-end guitar by any means, and they were charging twice as much for it, but this is an example of premiums done right versus a $300 knockoff Les Paul for $1,500 plus. The downside being, when you're nice to your fans, resellers buy them up and flip them for twice as much. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care.